Welcome to WILOTV.com and Shine99TV.com. We have with us Melissa Miller, and she's well acquainted not only with swine shows in general, but she's been tracking this one and watching this one very carefully. Melissa, what kind of results do we have so far?
I'm going to recap some of the barrow show real quick. We've got the Berkshire Barrow champion was Riley Lanham. Reserve champion was Lauren Spesser. Chester White Barrow champion was Wyatt Anderson. Reserve champion was Shania Boardner. Duroc champion barrow was shown by Sydney Boardner. And reserve champion was Morgan Viney. Hampshire Barrow was Blake Mears. Reserve was Reese Allball. Spot Barrow was Lauren Bush. Reserve was Zoe Myers. Yorkshire Barrow champion was shown by Madeline Sheese, and reserve was shown by her brother Keegan Sheese. Herefords were classified as the AOB all other breed. And first was Chase Allmiger, and second was Savannah Boydner. They are doing right now the commercial or crossbred lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight champions, and then they will do an overall breed champion here in just a bit. So as soon as we get those, we'll have those to you on the next report. As always, we want to thank our sponsors for letting us be here: WLC in Sedalia, Eikenberry Fine Furniture, Parrott's Meat Processing, Trigeen Tractor, and Indiana Packers. From the Carroll County 4-H Swine Show and Casper Media, I'm Melissa Miller.
And Melissa's just about ready to get on Shine 99 again and give another summary report of the swine show, Carroll County style.
Here in your meeting weight crossbred division, I think there's one that really skipping well out. I remember him in class. Young lady right here, a really nice crossbred meeting weight there. Congratulations to her. This is the meeting weight, Riley Lanham.
Okay, here's Melissa Miller for a summary as of about 25 minutes after 10 o'clock on Swine Day at the Carroll County Fair.
Thank you, Russ. In fact, I want a big shout out to Russ. We couldn't do all of this without him. He's doing all the camera work. He's doing all the technical advising and keeping me on schedule because I'm doing the radio too at the same time. So we want to do a quick recap. I had gone through all the purebreds for you, and right now they're in the middle of what you're seeing on the TV. They are actually choosing the champion crossbred barrow, but to get to that point, they had to choose a champion lightweight, a champion medium weight, and a champion heavyweight. Your champion lightweight barrow was shown by Evan Johnson. Your reserve champion was shown by Kristen Buck. Your champion middleweight crossbred barrow was shown by Riley Lanham. Your reserve champion was shown by Carson Deisinger. Your heavyweight champion crossbred barrow was shown by Madeline Sheese, and your reserve was shown by Andre Hernandez. Now, the three that are out there in the ring right now, that's going to be Evan Johnson. It's also going to be Riley Lanham and Madeline Sheese. That's who's going to be out there going for your champion crossbred barrow. So, or that should be who they're getting ready for. Now, they could have out there right now, just because those are totally different. There comes Madeline now. That's Madeline Sheese out there right now with her pig. She just came out. They should be bringing Andre out very soon. He's actually still sitting in the pen. It all boils down to which one he chooses for his champion, as whether or not the reserve champion comes out to go for the grand champion commercial. As I said before, the judge has been really consistent. He's been very good at staying on track on what he's been picking, the size of the hog, how they walk on their feet, the length of the loin, the overall makeup of the pig itself. He's been very consistent in what he's been picking. While he is trying to make up his mind right now, let's thank our sponsors again for letting us be here. WLC in Sedalia, Eikenberry Fine Furniture, Parrott's Meat Processing, Tri-Green Tractor, and Indiana Packers. Without them, we would not be able to bring you this broadcast whatsoever. Also want to thank my cohorts here, Brian Wimbrow, who's helping me keep track of all the classes and all the champions and reserves that are being picked. And then also, as again, Russ Casper, who is on the camera and helping keep all of us in line and keeping me on track with doing dual broadcasts. So I want a big shout out to them. The judge is having a hard time making up his mind on this. It's and I can understand that. It is challenging. And I'm going to sign off here real quick while you guys watch that. I'll come back with the results of that. I'm going to turn it back over to Russ because I need to go on the radio.
Very good. Appreciate that very much. Doing a great job as usual. She knows the background and the back end, if you will, of the way this works all the way through. She's been to many of these, and so we appreciate Melissa Miller. Looks like he might have made his decision. Brian, did you catch the winner of that then?
Pardon?
Did you catch the winner of that?
Yes, the champion crossbred barrel was Madeline Sheets.
Okay, Madeline Sheets is the winner of the champion crossbred.
The champion crossbred barrow.
Okay, very good. I sure appreciate that. Thank you. I remember one time on our Bid for Bargains program, we had up for bid some chocolate pig feed. And we had our doubts on how well that would go, and by golly, it went really well. And we finally figured out it was the 4-H'ers that wanted to use that chocolate pig feed. Miss Carroll County. Would it be all right if we do a little interview with you? Would that be okay? Okay, excellent. Let me move the camera here. This is on shine99tv.com. And what is your name?
I'm Rebecca Kahn.
Okay, excellent. And you were chosen to be Miss Carroll County. And so, Rebecca, tell us a little bit about how the week is going so far.
Very hot. It's been really busy, but it's just been a really great experience. I've learned a lot of work goes in with the community and a lot of appreciation for the people that work here.
What's your job today?
Passing out trophies and ribbons to the winners.
Okay, and there are some of those. They just announced the Grand Champion crossbred, I think. Have you ever raised livestock yourself?
I haven't, but I'm around a lot of friends that from sheep, goats, cattle to pigs. So I've been around them, and they talk about it all the time. So it's just cool to see how every different animal's different.
Well, with the possibility that you're really busy and have to get to something, I'm going to let you go. Anything else you want to mention?
No, just I'm glad I had this experience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. Appreciate it. That is the Carroll County Fair Queen, and we appreciate her being on. The judge just made another decision.
We do have, I'll go back over the crossbred middleweight champion was Riley Lanham. Carson Dysinger was the reserve champion. Crossbred lightweight barrow was Evan Johnson. Reserve was Kristen Buck. Heavyweight champion was Madeline Sheese. Andre Hernandez was reserve champion. And crossbred overall champion, which was chosen from those three, Madeline Sheese had champion crossbred barrow. Riley Lanham had reserve champion. Now, this last category that they just had that you just watched, that was home born and raised. That means those kids actually had the mothers. They raised them from babies. They were born and raised on their property. And that means a lot, especially now in the industry, because you're looking at the future of the pork industry right there with all those kids that are raising their own hogs at home. Our champion, home born and raised, I believe, was Clayton Schaefer, and our reserve champion was Ethan Nelson. And I mean, that's just a tribute to those kids. Those were actually really nice looking pigs. I was kind of impressed with them, and to see young men, actually young people in this industry, taking it on. It's not easy to raise hogs today. The market fluctuates so greatly. The other scenario to it too is the cost of feed. Feed cost changes daily, literally. When you're looking at all the commodities that go into feed costs, corn prices going up and down. When corn is high, feed costs are high. When corn is low, feed costs are a little bit lower. And that weighs into the industry as well as other livestock industries, but definitely into the pork industry. We are officially done with the Barrow Show for now. The Grand Champion Drive will not take place until the end of the show itself. We'll go back in and have Grand Champion Drives for both Barrow and Gilt. So we are getting ready to start the Gilt Show. The Gilt Show starts out with purebreds. We'll start out with Berkshires. That's what's getting ready to come into the ring. While you guys are watching this on Shine 99 TV and WILO TV, we want to thank our sponsors for letting us be out here. WLC in Sedalia, Eikenberry Fine Furniture, Parrots Meat Processing, Tri-Green Tractor, and Indiana Packers. They allow us to not only do the broadcast on the radio, but also broadcast live. The live streaming, it's all going to be archived, so if you didn't get a chance to catch the show, you'll be able to catch it later. You can go into the archive and pull it up. I love it. It's a really cool thing. We did it at the Clinton County Fair, and I've had a lot of friends tell me that they were very grateful, especially grandparents who weren't able to attend the show, but they were able to watch the show later because it was archived and they could go back in and watch.
The judge here is taking his time, making his decision. I believe this is one of the first Gilt groups or sections that we do have. It's a little unusual that we're starting the Gilts this early in the day. It's about 11:15. Well, Brian, you're going to describe what in the world is going on now?
We are in class 21, which is Chester White Gilts, and there is, I believe, 9 or 10 pigs in this one. And the gilt classes are, I feel, very important, because if you can pick out a good gilt, that the kids learn how to pick out a good gilt, that produces a good litter, then that's where you get your barrels, which in turn are your market hogs. So I think sometimes maybe we don't stress the gilts enough, and I think it's probably the most important part of the show, really.
Thank you very much, Brian. Did he mention that this will be the last grouping before lunch?
Do what now?
Did he mention this will be the last before lunch?
Okay. I know they were debating whether or not to even have a lunch just because of the heat index today. That's the reason why we've been pushing so hard to get through the classes. It's been a really good show. I mean, I cannot believe the consistency of this judge, and that is a tribute to him and his knowledge of the hog industry. Right now we're in the Chester White Gilt Show, and what they are looking for is uniformity in gilts. They're looking for width and depth. The other thing that they're going to notice, and the layman wouldn't even think about this, but they are actually going to count the teats. You want an even number of teats on the animal itself. Normally you're hoping for about 12, because the average litter is about 10 to 12. You can have some that have a higher number than that, but that's what you're hoping for one that has about 12. That way you've got all your piglets covered, and nobody's having to fight to get food when it comes time to nurse. The show itself, Carroll County has one of the largest hog shows in the state of Indiana. In the industry, we are sitting about 5th in the nation. Indiana used to be a little bit higher than that, but they've put a lot of hog barns up in Iowa, and that's where a lot of the numbers have gone out that direction. But we're still sitting 5th in hog production. Carroll and Clinton County are your number 1 and number 2 counties, respectively, in the hog industry in the state of Indiana, which I find that also very fascinating, and it's been that way for years. That has not changed. Even though numbers have gone down a little bit, and part of that is because we've had swine flu infections similar to swine flu in people. They've had respiratory infections over the years, rhinitis, and that has determined whether people stayed in the business. And like I said, feed cost, the commodities, high commodity cost, drove a lot of people out of the swine industry. When we were having $7 and $8 corn and higher, that was hard for everybody to take. They just simply could not afford to feed the animals. So that's had a lot to do with the numbers of the swine industry, but it's still going very strong here in Clinton and Carroll County. And the fact that we have kids that are actually raising their own makes a big difference, and that's an attribute to these kids, and that's also an attribute to their families to allow them to take that on. In fact, there is one little girl here in Carroll County, and I'm hoping to get her on the air later when she gets done showing, that actually raises purebred animals and sells them all over the country. And she's only a sophomore in high school, so she's took it on with a passion, and she's very good at it. So I'm hoping to get her on the air here after a bit. She's been going in and out of the ring, so I hate to bother her right now, but we'll get her on before it's over with. Let's see if we can't find out who he's going to pick here for the Chester White champion. He's got 2 great looking specimens out there. Very, very impressed with them. And he has not surprisingly, on the Chester White, he has, well, my numbers are not matching up. Yeah, numbers are not matching up here, so I can't even tell you who that was for sure for champion. I will find out here shortly. That was actually Ashley Bushman. They've got her number on her back as 20, and in the book they've got her as 25. So Ashley Bushman had the champion Chester White gilt. And our reserve champion was Emily Wagner. And Wagner's actually Bushman's too as well, are both very big into raising pigs, especially show stock. They actually raise a lot of show pigs, both families. In fact, I've known Emily from the time she was little, so it's kind of weird for me to see second generations coming through as in little ones, and then also seeing these kids that are in high school that I've known from the time they were little. But
I got a bed sheet.
yeah, our first, and as I said, Emily Wagner got second in that class, which gave her reserve as well. Yeah, Ashley Bushman was first. So, yeah, Ashley was first. And those were great looking gilts. What did you think?
Yes, yes, they were great looking gilts. They make nice litters. Just what a person would want if they was gonna, have big litters.
Well, and they seem very uniformed. And I don't. Did you ever raise any Chester Whites? I know you were very prolific in crossbreds and commercials.
No, we never did have any Chester Whites on our farm. It was a cross between York, Landrace, and Hamp. And our Hamp, we had Hamp boars, and it crossed into, Little Duroc, Landrace.
Now, in your opinion, by crossing, and you said Landrace especially, that was one that I always remembered as being, everybody wanted to cross with a Landrace because Landrace are really good mothers. Are there other breeds out there that you consider the prime ones to cross with, especially in a gilt, because you want not only one that's going to produce a large litter, but you also want one that's going to raise a large litter. So are there particular breeds that you remember growing up and raising pigs that were probably the best for that?
Hamps and Durocs, the way we raised, of course, we didn't have farrowing crates. It was in an individual hog house with a panel in the corner. A Duroc sow would be very protective with her litter, and a Duroc and a Hamp usually raise the nicest litter.
I know that's a lot of times that's what we crossed with too when we raised pigs. We don't raise them anymore now. We just do the show pig side of it. But Hamp and Duroc were the two that we had, and then a little bit of York in there too as well. We're going to break for lunch.
Melissa's making some preparations here. Lunch break at the Swine Show at Carroll County.
Yeah, I think this is the perfect time for us to play catch up a little bit. I mean, for those of you who are just joining us, let's do a quick recap of the actual show itself so far. The Barrow Show is over with, other than Grand Drive. We have not done the Grand Drive yet. The Grand Drive will actually be at the very end of the show, but we have had the breed champions. So Berkshire Barrow champion was Riley Lanham. Reserve was Lauren Spesser. Chester White Barrow champion was Wyatt Anderson. Reserve was Shania Bordner. Duroc Barrow champion was Sydney Bordner. Reserve was Morgan Viney. Hampshire Barrow was Blake Mears. And reserve champion was Reese Allball. Spot Barrow champion was Lauren Bush. Reserve champion was Zoe Myers. Yorkshire Barrow champion was Madeline Sheese. Reserve champion was her brother Keegan Sheese. The AOB, which is all other breeds, the two that were actually in the all other breed class were both Herefords, but you have to have 3 to have a class here, so they did not have a class of per se Herefords. Chase Allmeyer and Savannah Bordner were in that class. Chase had first and Savannah had second. Crossbred Barrow lightweight champion was Evan Johnson, and Kristen Buck had reserve. Cross middleweight champion was Riley Lanham, and Carson Dysinger had reserve. Cross heavyweight champion was Madeline Sheese, and Angie, I want to say it's Andre Hernandez, and his sister's name is Adriana, so it kind of gets a little confusing with the two of them, but Andre Hernandez had reserve. The crossbred champion, overall champion, was Madeline Sheese, and reserve was Riley Lanham. So those are the champions right now, the breed champions of the Barrow Show. Home born and raised champion was Clayton Schaefer, and reserve was Ethan Nelson. By home born and raised, that means that they were actually raised from the mother, gave birth on the farm, and they raised the pigs themselves. So that's a pretty special honor right there. We've already started the gilt show, the gilt classes. We've got 2 of them underway, and we'll be back with after our lunch break with the others. The Berkshire gilt champion was Lauren Weaver. The reserve champion was Adriana Hernandez. Chester White champion was Ashley Bushman, and reserve was Emily Wagner. Those are the classes that we have done so far. We will be going back out after lunch break. They're going to take a brief lunch break. Because of the heat, we're not taking a full lunch break like we normally would. So they will be coming back here in the next little bit to get started again. And the heat index is going to be high today, so that's part of the reason why we had a 7:30 a.m. start, and the reason why we are cranking through these so well. The judge has been very consistent. I'm very impressed with him. In his consistency as far as picking the animals. He knows exactly what he wants, he knows exactly what he likes, and he's been consistent from lightweight all the way up, so that means a lot. I have seen in past where judges have jumped around, and especially when they're dealing with a lightweight barrow that may weigh around 220, 230, and then you go back into another barrow that's a heavyweight that's weighing somewhere around 260, 270. So it does make it a little difficult to judge, but the overall structure of the animal should be the same no matter what. It should be consistent, and that's what he's looking for. He's looking in the barrows, he's looking for market-ready animals. He's looking at what the packers want, what you want to put on your table. That's what he's looking for in the barrow classes. Now in the gilt classes, he is looking for what animal is going to be best to put back into your production, what one's going to be a good mother, what one's going to produce the larger litters, that type of thing. And also, again, still looking at the structure of that animal, because you're looking for a market structure in a gilt that's going to produce a good market animal as well, but you also have to look at the mother side of the gilt too. So you're kind of actually, the gilts get judged on a little harsher, I want to say a little harsher scale, because they're getting judged twice, literally. They're getting judged as a market animal, and then they're also being judged as a breeding stock animal. So it makes a little difference when you're judging a gilt show. So far, everything's been going well. There's not been any issues or any incidents, so that's been fantastic. And again, we want to thank our sponsors for letting us be out here. Eikenberry Fine Furniture, WLC Sedalia, Parrots Meat Processing, Tri-Green Tractor, and Indiana Packers. If it not for them, we would not be able to be out here. I want to thank my cohorts. Brian Wimbrow, he's been watching all the classes for me when I couldn't, and keeping track of all the placings, and he's also very knowledgeable in the swine industry as well, so that helps out. And then Russ Casper, the guru of electronics, he's been making sure that everything is going great for us. So we actually have a couple of the crew Oh, come on. You can talk as well. It's not going to hurt you. Introduce yourself, and I know you and I have talked extensively before, but my brain is fried from two fairs back to back. So introduce yourself, and then tell us a little bit about the 4-H program here in Carroll County, because I know it is a very large and very growing program, just like Clinton County.
Sure. So my name's Andrea Brown. I'm with Purdue Extension here in Carroll County. I am the Ag and Natural Resources Extension Educator and also have a 4-H appointment. So I handle all the 4-H livestock projects. Yeah, we do. We have a great turnout with livestock exhibitors here at the Carroll County Fair. We also have some really exciting new indoor projects, building projects, and new things, spark clubs that we're doing with our kids to try to attract new kids, different kids, get them involved in different types of things that appeal to their interests.
For people who aren't familiar with the 4-H swine project itself, why don't you tell a little bit about what the kids have to go through?
Sure. So these kids, some of them raise their own hogs, and then they would maybe be taking care of those sows and farrowing them at home. Other kids buy their pigs in the spring, so April time frame, and then they go ahead and raise them from that point to fair time. So a lot of the work is taking care of feeding, watering, daily care, that sort of thing, getting them show ready. And the really fun thing about this is not only do we have great exhibitors, we have great families. This is a teamwork effort. They really work together to get the projects done. Our kids are really close-knit in our community here, so it's always especially fun in a big project like Swine to see them all come and work together and have a lot of fun during Fair Week.
I've always looked at 4-H as being kind of unique in that you have youth organizations that cater toward skill development, and you have youth organizations that cater toward moral and character development. It seems to me that 4-H purposely is one of the very few, perhaps you could put Boy and Girl Scouts in there too, that cater toward both skill development and character moral development.
Right. You're absolutely right. We have certain things that they are learning about their projects specifically to that breed or species or that sort of thing. But then also too, we're asking those kids to let us know the life skills that they're gaining. So responsibility in animal project is huge. Time management. A lot of these kids are also involved in other clubs or sports and want to do their best at school. So we want them to manage all those things. They're making decisions, they're selecting their projects, they're learning things about that. So not only is it learning about the animals themselves or their particular project, but absolutely, that kind of teamwork, responsibility, all those things. Financial management, when we talk about livestock projects, that's huge too. So it is really amazing how 4-H can teach all those types of skills for those kids.
Now maybe you covered this with Melissa, just a couple more questions. How many youth do you have involved in Carroll County 4-H?
We're just under 600 kids total in the county. When we get into livestock projects, we're more in the range of under 200 kids or so that are involved. A lot of those kids take multiple projects in the animal projects, so we definitely have a huge number of animals here at the fair in a pretty rural county.
In summary, anything you want to, anybody you want to thank, or any other pieces of information you'd like us to know?
Sure. I would really love to thank all of our volunteers. Without them, we couldn't make this happen. So we really appreciate all of their help and support. It's really fun to see volunteers come back year after year and help us. Their kids went through it. They want to give back. And we've got great families to work with. So, Fair Week's crazy, but it's such a fun time because we all work together and we really have a great time.
Well, I'm just guessing, but somebody set those pins up. Somebody's going to tear them down. Somebody brought the fans in. Somebody checked out the PA system. Somebody put these tables up. This just didn't happen by twitching a nose.
That's exactly right. It's truly a team effort for all of our volunteers in this county. We couldn't do it without them and our 4-H families who really help us make it happen.
Well, sure. Appreciate your hospitality. Yes, there are some people that are watching this live video streamed on Shine 99 TV, but we also are going to archive after we edit, and we'll put a nice edited production together, and we'll make sure you get on this.
Right. Well, we thank you for coming out. I know our kids enjoy it. I know our community members appreciate it, so thanks for coming out to our show today.
Okay, and your name one more time.
Andrea Brown.
Thank you, Andrea Brown. She is kind of heading up the 4-H program in Carroll County. We appreciate it very much. Melissa?
Thank you. Hated to cut out on you, but I had to go do the radio
That's
too.
okay.
So, but
Thank you.
I would like to, if you don't mind, some point in time during the day, I'd like to sit down and talk with you again.
Sure.
And we'll discuss maybe a little bit more in
Sure,
depth.
absolutely.
Okay.
Anything you need.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, again, she's pulling double duty. She also does other parts of the extension office, and she's in charge of the livestock program here. So, which is great because Carroll County's 4-H program is huge. It's just like ours in Clinton County. It's very big there too, and they have the opportunity here with her help to be able to split that 4-H end of it just a little bit so that she can take some of the load off of their youth extension agent. It is a hot one. Here in the barn, it's not too bad. There are, I'm going to say, 20 plus fans going in the rafters, along with all the livestock fans that are throughout the building. What a lot of people don't realize is once you get past the bleachers, that's where the swine start. The swine portion of this building is actually runs towards the back, and then it runs off towards the east. So this is an L-shaped building, and there's fans going everywhere to keep those animals happy. I've actually took a walk out to see how all the other animals are doing, and the cattle are happy. They're in an open-faced barn, and they've got a nice little breeze going through there, and the sheep are sleeping. They're glad the show's over with. So it's everybody's kind of peaceful and taking it easy. And actually, for as hot as it is, I am really surprised at how well the swine have been doing in the show, because it can be extremely stressful with this heat. I know how stressful it is for us as humans in this heat, and to be an animal that does not sweat. And you will notice when the kids are in the ring, when they're here in the holding pens, you'll see people with sprayers. In fact, there's a sprayer still hanging on the fence right now. What they do with those sprayers is they actually will keep their animals moist. And with a hog, you want to make sure that you spray their nose. Their nose is where they sweat. That's where they absorb water. So you will see them make sure that their animal is, their nose is wet first, and they keep it nice and moist, and then they'll spray the rest of the animal. Because if you spray the back of a hog without spraying its nose, then it can cause them to actually go have a heat stroke in this kind of heat. It's detrimental that you keep their noses moist and wet. We are going to try and squeeze in a little food here while everybody else is taking a break. Brian just came back with all the goodies, so we're going to let you pan around and take a good look at what's going on here, and then when the show kicks back in, we'll be back on the air with you. We want to thank our sponsors real quick for letting us be here again. Eikenberry Fine Furniture, WLC in Sedalia, Tri-Green Tractor, Parrots Meat Processing, and Indiana Packers. We want to thank them again for letting us be here at the 4-H Swine Show here in Carroll County.
Welcome back to Shine 99 TV, the Swine Show at the Carroll County Fair. And we have Brian Winbrough and Melissa Miller with us. And Brian, how would you summarize the way things are going? Did you have a good lunch?
Yes, I did. I had a mix and match. I had pork burger and pulled pork, and it was very good.
That sounds like a good theme for the day. And I had pork burger as well. So what do we have to look forward to today for the rest of the afternoon?
We're in the gilt classes right now, and we'll have champion gilts and grand champion barrows coming up here later on today, and various showmanship classes.
Okay, we're going to hand it over to Melissa, and she can do some summary too.
Yeah, we're getting ready to start again, to start the show all over again, and we'll pick up right where we left off. We'll actually pick up with, I believe, the Duroc show will be our next classes that come up, and we've got 2 classes of Duroc gilts. And again, what they're looking for, not only are they looking for a good market animal that's going to put good meat on your table, but they're also looking for good mothers when they're looking at gilts, because they're the ones who have to raise the pigs. So that's what they're looking for. So gilts get judged twice. They get judged for their market value. They get judged for their production value as well. I had an opportunity to speak with our judge. The judge is Brett Golf. He is out of Marion, Indiana. So he's a local boy. He's a 10-year 4-H member himself. He judged on the Purdue University livestock judging team. And the thing that he likes about this the most is, as he said, it's any given person's, as far as a judge goes, it's their opinion and their opinion only. It is not a stamp on what the whole industry is looking for, it's what they are looking for. He has been in the swine business all his life. He was born into it. He actually has a genetics business on the side on his own. And but he's here for the kids. That's what he is here for. He loves working with 4-H families, working with the kids, and that is his main focus right now. He's here for the kids to help them better their projects and better their programs. Hopefully, depending on what his schedule is, I don't know if he has to go to another show or not. Hopefully, we'll be able to get him on again for a more in-depth and extended conversation, but I also know that he's been at it since 7 o'clock this morning here in Carroll County. I was not counting his drive time and coming in from home, and I know he has 2 daughters that he are in the swine project as well in 4-H, so a good possibility that he may have to cut out as soon as this is over with. So we'll see if we can't get him back on the air. We're going to have some of the 4-Hers actually come up and talk here later on too as well. So that'll be good. We'll be able to talk to some of the kids as the show begins to wind down, and they can breathe a little easier as they get their portion of the program over with. Then we'll be able to talk to some of them too as well. You'll see kids coming on stage here very briefly, just a quick nod of the head. They'll come up here, but what they're doing is they have to let people know whether or not they're going to sell their animal in the 4-H auction. The Carroll County 4-H auction is tomorrow evening right here in the show arena. If you're interested in coming out for a buyer, just contact the extension office. They can help you sign up as a buyer. But the kids have to designate by the end of the swine show whether or not they are going to sell their animal. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's a rabbit or whether it's a lamb or whether it is one of their pigs. They still have to let them know by the end of the swine show so that they can get them in the list for the auction. A lot of these kids, when they sell their animal, that money goes right back into their 4-H project. If they're fortunate enough to get a, I don't want to say substantial amount, but a little more than what most do for their animals, then a little more than market price for their animals, then some of that money may go back into them actually be able to put that money back for college. I know a lot of the kids that I deal with in Clinton County as a 4-H leader, a lot of those kids they'll put part of their money back into their program, and the rest of the money goes away in a savings account for college. So we're looking at the future, not only the future of agriculture, but the future of our country as a whole when you're looking at 4-H kids and the leadership skills that they develop along with the life skills that they develop. We are getting ready to start. You're going to see the kids bringing their Duroc gilts up here right now, and I'm going to turn this back over to Russ because I'm going to try and grab a sandwich now while I've got the chance.
Okay, while they're getting this class started, let's get class 23, Duroc gilts heading this way. Cade McElrath, Morgan Justice, Tate Euler, Casey Lamb, Wyatt Roth, and Logan Schaefer start heading this way. I'd also like to announce the Carroll tennis team is having a bake sale on the corner out here by the Carroll alumni, and they're accepting free will donations. They're having a bake sale.
Well, I look forward to continuing on here with your gilt show, and I want to thank the people. Excellent pork meal back here. I really appreciate that. So looking forward to the rest of the day. In this do-rod class, we again got some different pieces. Here are how I seen it lined up. We got two pairs here on this, the bottom end. We're going to talk about it. The one I'm going to lead off with is the young lady's gilt right here, and here's why, my particular reasons. If you study this gilt, she's younger in age, okay? But if you study this one from the hip to the hind leg, she's really, really good, okay? She's long in her neck, she's big-footed. She's got one little teat over here underlined, but she's got enough functional ones for me. I think she'll make the best breeding gilt that I'm looking for. Really excellent design. She's up in her tail head. She's got a lot of neck. I think she's in proper condition for me. Second and third follow each other. When I first seen this gilt hit the class, I thought, hey, here's your class winner. The more she drives, the more she gets tighter there in her hip. Whether you think she's got too much on her, whatever. But one, big body, big kind of a brood style looking, underlying quality's good. You can see what I'm talking about. I just want to free her up there out of her hind line. This one's more functional for me, more practical for a breeding gilt in this particular drive. The next gilt coming out. Third, most closely follows the gilt we had in second in terms of her body shape and look. She wants to get also a little stride, shorter strided as she goes out of her hip and her hind leg. You know, I think, in my opinion, we got to keep these gilt, again, soundness and flexibility. They're going to put them in crate conditions. We got to make sure that we keep that practicality. That's still big body, very functional. Here is one that is sound, but she's not as heavy structured. She's not as overall in her look. She's got a little more jowl to her, but still a very functional kind of female that certainly appreciate. Here's another one that really follows the design of the gilt we started the class with. She gets more peaked. You get behind her. I like her vulva size. I like her underlying quality. Fits the bill real well. This one also fits the bill in terms of big bodiness and mass. She again wants to just not be structurally correct there out of her hind leg. Here's one really feminine-headed, the most feminine-headed gilt in this particular drive. She's really good in her rib shape. She doesn't square up quite as well as you get behind her, and she goes away from you in this class. The young lady here has also done a really nice job. Still heavy bone. She wants to just roll outside herself there just a little bit in this do-rod gilt. interesting pieces, nice gilt Duroc gilt class.
Placing is class 22, 8th, Emily Johnson, 7th, Emma Wise, 6th, Wyatt Carmack, 5th, Coy Myers, 4th, John Lambert, 3rd, Evan Royal, 2nd, Caleb Myers, and 1st, Danny Duff. Go ahead and start getting your Hampshire gilts, class 24 up here. Madison Wagner, Catherine Roth, Andre Hernandez, Evan Johnson, and Coy Myers.
When this particular Duroc drive, I think this one boots me really well up here at the top of the class. Congratulations to this young man. Again, study this one again on the profile. Keep femininity characteristics, still have a good show look in terms of this drive. Her rib cage is real good. Typical good breed character for the Duroc breed. Look at her head, look at her ears. Her underlying quality is exceptional. Her vulva size is perfect. Gets out here and just floats. Very, very functional. Good kind of a female for me to win that class. The gilt here in second. A little more moderate. Not as tall, long in her bone work up through the front end. She's really good from the profile. She's exceptional in terms of her soundness as well. Good also head and carriage to this head. A little more terminal as you get behind her. Not as feminine as the gilt we started the class with, but still a nice gilt. Again, that young lady should be proud of. Here's a big center-bodied one here. Great big rib cage laid into this one. She just gets a little shorter in terms of her rib length than the gilt that we started the gilts of the class. Still very good in her kind. Get behind her. We'd like to give her a little bigger hip structure, a little shallower in her hip. Young man's here really follows the gilts that we started the class with in terms of length of body. We just got to give her a little more total correctness from end to end. Boy here in the blue's done a nice job. We really respect this gilt. Good substance of bone, good foot size. Certainly I like that about the gilt. Good length of neck. You study her as going away from you. Again, she gets a little more uncoordinated. She doesn't square up. Her hocks get a little bit more swollen there in that drive. This gilt here has got nice length of head, length of neck. Just give her more center body here as the other gilts we had. Nice Duroc gilt class.
Placings class 23. 6th, Casey Lamb. 5th, Logan Schaefer. 4th, Wyatt Roth. 3rd, Cade McElrath. 2nd, Morgan Justice. 1st place goes to Tate Euler. You go ahead and head up here with your spot gilts. Class 25, Lauren Weaver, Emlyn Dolitz, Owen Crowell, Amber Bushman, Ethan Nelson, Lauren Bush, and John Lambert.
Well, let's give your Duroc exhibitors, the kids and the family, you had a nice Duroc gilt show in these two classes. I'm really happy with the two gilts I got out here. They fit my bill, kind of what I look for in terms of what females should be. They can float all day. They're tall at the point of the shoulder. If you study their feet too, you know, feet's awful important. They're even in their toes. You always got to look at toes. It's very important in a breeding female. I think there's one, it's really, really close, but I think there's one that for me today in the ring, this gilt right over here will be your champion. Congratulations.
Champion, Duroc gilt, Tate Euler. Reserve, Danny Duff. Excuse me, they haven't picked reserve.
young lady brings out that second gilt. The young lady should still be proud of the very nice Duroc gilt, and I mean that sincerely. The gilt, again, it's really unique in her own kind, and certainly she wasn't the biggest, but they don't have to be the biggest and way out there on body for me. They got to have enough body, but this is a really interesting piece. I got to come back to her for reserve. This one's a really good Duroc gilt. Certainly run in some good competition. Congratulations, she'll have the reserve.
Reserve Duroc gilt, Daddy Duff. Just a reminder, 4-H'ers, you need to come up here to the table and tell the folks what you're going to do with your pigs. You're going to take them to market, auction, or are they going back home? That has to be done before the end of the show.
We're here at the Carroll County 4-H Swine Show, and I'm here with Scott Ashby, and Scott is a part of the Carroll County 4-H Junior Leaders. Scott, tell our listeners what 4-H Junior Leaders is, and then tell us a little bit about not only what you guys do as a group, as basically a club. Tell them a little bit about what you guys are doing here on the fairgrounds as well.
Well, Junior Leaders is a program that starts at junior high. You can get involved in it. It counts as another project on top of what you already do. And we go out, we do service projects in the community, we get to know people, we meet new people, and then once a month we're doing a fun activity. And here at the fair we have the Junior Leaders stand. The pork producers are kind enough to cook for us, and we serve. You have to work 3 2-hour shifts, and we sell pretty much anything you could want.
Yeah, and believe me, they have what they call a deluxe pork burger and a deluxe tenderloin, which consists of cheese and bacon, and believe me, there is nothing like it. And I hit them daily on a daily basis over here at Carroll County. Junior Leaders helps build leadership. I know a lot of skills of which I know you have put to use in your FFA background too as well. So why don't you let's say you're talking to a younger member. What would you say to them to convince them to do Junior Leaders?
I would basically tell them that you need to do Junior Leaders to get involved. It's the same as if it was an FFA. You need to go meet people, and you need to make connections. When you make those connections, people will come up to you that you haven't seen in 2 years, and they'll say, hey, I remember when you were here and we did this. And it's a really great time. I've had some questions through 4-H and through FFA, and I've been able to get on my phone and call people, and they've been more than happy to help me that I've met through Junior Leaders.
Well, Scott, I know you need to get back to the stand because I pulled you out of the stand. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us, and I look forward to seeing you again through all your other endeavors that you have going on and your successful life, because I know you are a big part of the leadership over here in Carroll County and a big part of the next generation coming up.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Scott Ashby, great kid. He's with the Carroll FFA, and that's, again, he is with the Carroll 4-H Junior Leaders, and he's a big integral part of everything that they do here. I want to quickly talk about the Duroc Gilt class. They have picked a champion and a reserve champion. Tate Euler was the champion Duroc Gilt, and reserve champion went to Danny Duff. So we are well underway back into the hog show. Right now we have Hampshires out there. As soon as they get through the Hampshire gilts, then they'll go straight into the spots. We are actually cranking pretty quickly. Even after taking a lunch break, the classes are still moving very fast. We want to thank our sponsors, of course, for letting us be here. Tri-Green Tractor, Eikenberry's Fine Furniture, WLC in Sedalia, Indiana Packers, and Parrott's Meat Processing here in Flora. I want to also thank Brian Wimbrow, my right-hand man here. He's been watching the classes. He's also born and raised in the pork industry, so he knows a lot about what's going on, and he's helping keep me on track. And Russ Casper, who does all the media for us, takes over on the Mike when I have to go do another job, and we could not make any of this happen without him. So I want to thank both of them for being here and making me look good. Actually, that's exactly what they do. They make me look good, make me look like I know what I'm talking about.
Start off with the young man's guilt over here on the far right side. Congratulations to him. Guilt got again great in terms of her heart girth. Really good in terms of her vulva size. She balances up from the side. Maybe want to clean her neck up just ever so slightly. Maybe give her just a little, maybe longer stride, but she's long enough strided for me in this particular drive. The gilt here in second, I'd like to fix her there, a little coarser in her underline. I'd like to fix it on particular one side. She's got some big spacing, and it gets a little coarser there in the underline. But again, I love her overall design, her length of neck, and her side profile in this particular gilt. She's not as quite as, gets a little more peaked as you get behind her than the gilt we started the class with. But again, exhibitors need to be proud, still two nice Hampshire gilts. The young man's gilt coming out next meets all the requirements. Again, from behind and from the side where she gives up, you get up, as she comes at you, she wants to again get her a little narrow there at the knee for me than the gilts in the class. Here's the youngest gilt in the class. I think down the road, this will be a lot more to appreciate to look at. Really sound and flexible, really got a unique head and neck to this gilt. She just run into, again, you're judging them today, and certainly that one there I would like to look at in about 30 to 60 days and get a little better feeling on how she's going to develop. Here's another one that's probably earlier maturing for her age at this stage. As you see her growing on out into maturity, I think she's going to be a little smaller frame, but still a nice, got some rib shape and some body to her we appreciate.
For Class 24 placings, first and champion goes to Andre Hernandez. Second, reserve goes to Evan Johnson. Third, Coy Myers. Fourth, Catherine Roth. And fifth goes to Madison Wagner. Need to start heading this way with Class 26, Yorkshire Gilts. Sarah Jones, Riley Lanham, Kason Lambert, Keegan Sheese, Laney Johnson, Michael O'Neill, Zachary Roth, and Cade McElrath.
Give these spotted exhibitors a nice round of applause. Again, we got some nice pieces up here on the top end, and here's how I see it. I am going to start with the young man's gilt right over here. This one's really, again, kind of unique. Study her from the front and shoulder. I mean, this one really has some characteristics, I think, for a spotted brood type style potential. Really good in her bone. You get behind her, she doesn't disappoint you. She's really long from that hip. I think just an exceptional kind of spotted female. Great big forearm in her, rugged, looks natural to me. Still got a nice look, good vulva size, good underlying quality. Here is the biggest volume, biggest mass one certainly. Come out, it draws your attention right away. I would change her here. She's got small teeth on one side, but she's enough. I'm not going to penalize her that bad on that. As the longer the drive went on, I started evaluating that her shoulders pushed up into her a little bit farther forward. She's not as long again in her hip. She takes a shorter stride. I just think there's more functional and practicality in the gilt we use there. But again, two great job by these exhibitors bringing some nice spot gilts. Gilt coming out here in third. Another great big center body, kind of a spotted gilt. If you study her, she wants to get down there in her front feet a little bit for me. If she wouldn't do that, she wouldn't look as down the point of her shoulder. Really got a good style type head look to her. You get behind her, she doesn't disappoint you. She doesn't square up quite as well maybe as the two gilts we started the class with. Young lady, I asked her the age on this gilt. She's towards the end of January. I took that into consideration. Again, I think this gilt's got some better chances here down the road. She just runs out of structure compared to the gilts when you evaluate them in today's show. But it's very functional, again, practical. Spot gilt certainly can probably go to the crate ray down and have a nice litter, and we got to respect that about the gilt. The gilt here in coming out next is the most terminal gilt. If it was a market gilt show, this one would raise right to the top. She's a little more terminal for me. As we round out the class, we still got some exceptional kids who've done a nice job. We just need to change these gilts in terms of structural correctness.
Placings in the spots. Gilt class, first and champion goes to Ethan Nelson. Second reserve, Lauren Bush. Third, John Lambert. Fourth, Lauren Weaver. Fifth, Owen Crow. Sixth, Amber Bushman. And seventh, Emmeline Dolans. Need to head this way with our second class of Yorkshire Gilts. Class 27, Haley Smith, Emma Lamb, Asa Coe, John Beal, Megan Wagner, Audrey Nelson, Sydney Bordner, Tate Euler, Sarah Jones. Again, I'll remind all 4-H'ers, come up to the stage up here and tell the ladies what you're going to do with your animals. Going home, going to market, or you're putting it in the auction. They have to know by the end of the show.
Well, I think this is a really nice class, in my opinion, I like to talk about. This young man right here, this gilt, is the biggest footed, biggest bone, longest neck one. She's not out there on body shape, but she's got enough. She's square, she goes away from you, fits my type. Long-sided, long neck, underlying quality real good. Again, her toe spread's excellent, her vulva size is very adequate. Nice Yorkshire gilt there to win the class. The other two pair are more similar in their type. If you study this gilt, tremendous presence in the show ring, tremendous hair coat, tremendous rib shape and body. She's not as clean. She's got a lot of jowl, and if you study her there, they're cannon bone. She's not as heavy bone. She's not as heavy structured. She is a little smaller in vulva. I give the young lady credit, got a well presentation gilt in this particular class. I either had to use those two up on the top or this one third. That's the way I chose it. The gilt here, another one. Tremendous appearance, tremendous body cavity laid into this gilt. Gets a little more, again, bone and foot. For as much mass as she got, I just like to see her have her bigger footed, bigger bone in this particular drive. She does have a tip vulva for me. I penalized her a little bit for that. I'd like to change that about her, but the presentation is excellent. Good job on that. Next gilt coming out. Here's a gilt. We got some age spread, certainly difference. We got one that just doesn't have the mass quite yet, but certainly the gentleman's done a nice job here. Flexibility and soundness is good. Young lady as well has done a really nice job with this gilt. Really love her femininity and her from a side profile. Just needed to correct her on some structural correctness. As we get on down the line, that's some issues we get in terms of some of these classes. We just need to fix those areas as these gilts get mature in terms of that correctness. Thank you.
Placings class 26, Yorkshire Gilts. 8th, Laney Johnson. 7th, Michael O'Neill. 6th, Sarah Jones. 5th, Zachary Roth. 4th, Cade McElrath. 3rd, Keegan Sheese. 2nd, Riley Lanham. 1st goes to Kaysen Lambert. Go ahead and start bringing your AOB gilts up, all other breeds. Leah McElfresh, Ethan Nelson, Mackenzie Myers, John Beal, Aaron Scott, and Savannah Bordner.
On this particular Yorkshire gilt drive, I'm happy again with the gilt we started. You know, we go out here and we want to jack it. I have no problem getting these heads up. This one's tall fronted. This one's long neck. She's not straight out of that shoulder. She's really correct from her side. Again, I like long hips down the hock. We're going to feral sows. We got to keep them that way, or gilts or whatever they are, especially gilts. You know, you have a terrible experience if you got a shorter hip and you're in those crates. You know, we got to get that. This one here fits the breeding piece for me. The gilt in second. Tremendous amount of rib. She's shorter in her hip as it goes down in the hock. From that standpoint, I put her in second. Really good underlying quality on both gilts. She's not as tall. The shoulder is the gilt we started the class with. Young lady, come on out here in third. This one's really sound, got a great design to her. That's why she kept moving on up. She's not the biggest gilt in the class. I wish she would have squared up just a little better for me. I got behind her. I could have moved her up there in second. But really very functional. We talked about that. This one here can be a great breeding female. Just put her, maybe fix that back behind. If you're going to take this gilt, isolate her and breed her, fix the behind, you come back with a better project next year. Another good gilt in terms of flexibility, soundness. We'd like to change her there on her underline on one particular side. Here's a little more terminal, thicker skull, kind of a gilt coming out. The heaviest bone gilt in the class. She's just a little more terminal for me, and her vulva is not correct in this drive. This is the earlier maturing gilt. If you read her on out in days ahead, she's not going to be as big a frame, but really like the body and mass this gilt's got in it. Young lady here has done a nice job, good long neck, kind of a female. Again, we got to straighten her out on her hind legs. As we round out the class, we just get a little more cover, maybe a little earlier maturing gilts, but nice job by these exhibitors.
Placings in Class 27, Yorkshire Gilts. 9th, Tate Euler. 8th, Asa Coe. 7th, Sarah Jones. 6th, Megan Wagner. 5th, Audrey Nelson. 4th, John Beal. 3rd, Ailey Smith. 2nd, Sydney Bordner. And 1st goes to Emma Lamb.
Well, we are here at the Carroll County 4-H Swine Show. You've been watching the classes go through. We actually have Yorkshires out there right now, and the actual program has been moving very quickly. So, but I'm here with a couple of young members of the Carroll County 4-H swine program, and then also 4-H programs altogether. Why don't you guys say what your name is, and then I'm going to have you guys talk a little bit about your projects, okay?
Amber Bushman. Courtney Morris.
What year of 4-H are you guys in?
This is my 3rd year in 4-H. This would be my first year.
Wow, newbie, huh? Okay. Why don't you tell us a little bit? I've seen you guys out there showing today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your swine program?
Well, it's really fun, and there is some rules about what you have to do. It's like really fun after like doing it, and it's kind of like you kind of get nervous.
Okay, now I know that you don't just walk into the ring with a pig. What do you do to get ready for this point in time?
Well, you have to brush it, and sometimes you spray water on it to cool it down and make it shine a little bit. And like when you brush it, it helps it like move more, and soaking it keeps it cool.
That's right. Now, how long have you had your pigs? Because I know you didn't just get them yesterday.
I've had my pig for...
Since May, at least.
Yeah, I think about 5 or 6 months, I want to say.
That's probably about right. What about you? Did you raise yours, or did you buy your pig?
We bought it, and I think it was 6 or 5 months too, because we got our pigs like at the same time.
Okay, so what does it take to raise a pig to this point?
You have to feed it and water it and make sure it doesn't get dehydrated. And whenever you feed it, you have to make sure it gets enough food. And also you have to take care of it like a regular animal, and you have to give it shots whenever it needs it.
All right, well, I know you guys are trying to cool down before showmanship, get some rest in there. Are you done showing now until showmanship, or do you guys have to go back in at all?
Well, I'm done until showmanship because I only show one pig.
Okay.
I am done until showmanship too.
Okay, well, I look forward to seeing you in showmanship, and thank you very much for talking to us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We're going to let them get back to where they need to be, and we're going to let you listen back to the show, and then I'll come back with some results here in just a moment.
classes, your champion was Kason Lambert. Reserve was Riley Lanham. I want to let everybody know right around the corner here by the junior leader stand, First Farmers is serving free watermelon. So if you guys and gals need to get cooled off, go around the corner there and get you some watermelon.
Win your all other breeds. Nice job by these exhibitors. It's a little closer call, I think, here as I add up some emphasis points. The Hereford gilt here, it's got a couple of nipples there that I'd like to change, and certainly one of the bigger one that compared to the Landrace gilt. Landrace gilt's got tremendous amount of femi, really good in her underlying quality, really good also in her flexibility. I do read her as just a little more feminine for me, a little more what I'm trying to, from a balance standpoint, she'll win this particular division. Congratulations to her. The big stout, again, stout Hereford gilt, really exceptional for the Hereford breed. Again, I got a little picky there on her underline. There's a couple there. Maybe we could get by with one, but they're up there on the front section, and then she does get just a little tighter, again, out of her hip than the Landrace gilt for me in this class. But two, again, exhibitors need to be proud, as always, two very respectable gilts. Young man as well, another very respectable Hereford gilt. Really impressed with your Herefords here at Carroll County. She does have good underlying quality. She's very acceptable in her femininity characteristic. She gets just maybe a little drier there from the side, and she gets a little peaked there. She goes away from you than the two gilts who started the class. This gilt here, heavy structured, big bone. It's coarser in her overall makeup. It's coarser there as you study her from behind. Long bodied, flexible female. Again, we appreciate. Just need to give her more total rib shape. Gilt here is a little more terminal for me, a little more heavier muscled. Need to change that back to loosen her up in her structure. Congratulations.
Placings for class 28. 6th, Leah McElfresh. 5th, Mackenzie Myers. 4th, John Beal. 3rd, Ethan Nelson. 2nd, Savannah Bordner. 1st, Aaron Scott. Need to be heading this way with class 30. Second class of commercial lightweight gilts. Cooper Welk, Wyatt Roth, Mercedes Dysinger, John Beal, Evan Crowell, Owen Crowell. Is that Kaina Morris.
Well, as we start off our crossbred gilt class, look forward to that. We're going to start with the young lady's gilt right down here. Congratulations to her. Again, really like, some femininity that the gilt possesses. Good length of body, good length of neck. Under quality, again, very acceptable. Those are very distinctive points we need to always pay attention to when we're in a breeding class. Her vulva size is good. She's tall at the point of shoulder. I'll grant we need to give her a little more fill, a little more rib shape. Certainly being picky, still a very practical, nice kind of a gilt. Here is gilt second, does his bigger rib. She gets a little forward again in her shoulder. She's a little straighter fronted, not as good in those areas, but we got to keep her up on top just from a look from the side in her rib shape for those reasons. Good young man here coming out third. Done a nice job. This gilt does have some fill to her. Got some soundness and flexibility. Just get some more structure on this gilt. Move her up, look at her a little harder. We round out this class. We got one again. The young lady's done a nice job. You can see she's flexible. You just got to give her some more volume than the gilts that we had above her. The more terminal gilt here, she'd be better in a market gilt class, but very respect the muscle shape that gilt has.
Places class 29, commercial lightweight gilts. 5th, Emily Johnson. 4th, Ashley Bushman. 3rd, Henry Hurst. 2nd, Ren Isom. 1st, Grace Filbert. Go ahead and start heading this way with Commercial Gilts Class 31, third lightweight class. Amber Bushman, Clayton Schaefer, Adam Humbarger, Emily Humbarger, Zachary Walters, Henry Hurst, Justine Hurst, Catherine Roth, and Emily Justice. Remember 4-Hers, the ladies up here need to know whether you're taking your 4-H pigs home to market or putting them in the auction. Come up before the end of the show to let them know what's going on with them.
Well, then we gotta watch royalty. We gotta move out of the way when they gotta move.
All right.
Uh-oh, melting ice cream. That's not safe here. Okay. All right, girls. Ah, you might as well. Yeah, what the heck. I said all we got to do is watch for royalty, make sure we get out of the way. And we need to let our extension agent go through, too. All right. We're here at the Carroll County 4-H Swine Show, and while they're driving Hampshire pigs back there, gilts back there, I'm here with members of the Carroll County 4-H program and also FFA program as well. And tell me a little bit, first of all, introduce yourselves. Tell me a little bit about your project. And also, all you girls are older. What would you say to younger members to encourage them to do the 4-H program?
I'm Danielle Swayze. I'm a 10-year sheep project member. And I would say to younger kids that just do it. It's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of dedication and hard work, but it's definitely worth it in the end.
I'm Haley Smith. I'm a 5-year 4-H member. One thing I would tell the little kids would be just always have confidence in yourself. You know, when you go out into the ring, don't be nervous. You know, it's all for fun most of the time. Just go out there and have encouragement and be able to show your animal as best as you can.
I'm Cassie Hart, and I do goats and some indoor projects. This is my 7th year. I would say definitely get involved early. Don't wait until you can't do it anymore, because it's a lot of fun, and I know when it's my 10 years I'm going to regret not doing it, not doing all the projects when I could, and it's a lot of fun, so it's a really good life experience.
Okay, I know you're a trifecta. You show 3 different types of livestock. Let's start with you, Cassie. Tell our listeners what it's like to prepare for the goat project and get a goat ready to show, because I know it's totally different than sheep, and sheep is what I'm familiar with.
Well, what I personally do is I clip them really short about 2 weeks before the fair, so their hair's long enough at the fair, and then I don't really have to do too much. I mean, I wash a few of them at the fair, just touch up hair here and there, make sure they're clean, make sure they're fed, watered, make sure they're, look good for the judge.
Now, do you show dairy goats or do you show meat goats?
Yeah, I showed dairy. I used to show boar goats, and then I showed cows for a few years too.
Oh, overachievers all, I swear. Carroll County, that's what you get when you come to Carroll County. You get overachievers. That's just the way it is. All right, you show sheep, near and dear to my heart. I have purebred Suffolks at my house, but you show a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I show Hampshires, I show Shrops, commercial market lambs and commercial ewes, a couple of natural colors.
Okay, now explain to our listeners the difference between showing breeding stock and showing market lambs.
With your market lambs, you're really trying to show off all their muscle and the power they have and their different cuts of meat, which is your rack area, your loin area, and your leg area. When you're showing market lambs, you just want all their muscles to be showing and almost like a flexing for the judge. And with breeding ewes, you want nice rib shape and just a good quality ewe that can produce good quality lambs.
Very well put. Very well put. Okay. You're the trifecta. You show sheep, you show cattle, and you show swine. Of the 3, what's your favorite?
Definitely beef. They're just like big puppy dogs. You know, I go out to the farm and they come right up to the fence and lick your face, and you can cuddle with them.
Okay, tell our listeners what it's like to show cattle, because it's a totally different, and it can be very intimidating. I mean, we're talking about anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 pound steers or heifers. So, you know, what do you do to prepare mentally, but then also how do you prepare your animal?
Well, so on our farm, when the calves are first born, we'll instantly go out there and we'll start loving on them and getting them used to us being around them. And then when we halter break them, what we do is we put a halter on them and just let them, we keep it on them and just let them walk themselves around and step on it and get used to the tugging on it and stuff. But it definitely takes a lot of work. Every night I go out and rinse them. Every night in the morning I go out and rinse and walk. It's more of they feed off your emotions, so if you're nervous, they're going to be nervous. If you're calm, they're going to be calm. It's just the mental connection that you have with these kind of animals and the way that you act around them and the way that you raise them throughout from calving all the way up to market, or when it becomes a cow and has calves of their own.
Very well put, and it's that way with any animal. I think they all feed off of your emotions. Now, for you, showing sheep, which do you prefer, breeding stock, or do you prefer to show market animals? Which is easier for you?
I prefer show market animals. I just like the way they look better to me. I like just presenting that animal and just making it look the best I can with it.
And goats as well. With dairy goats, you're not only, I know there is a meat category for the wethers, but tell them a little bit about what it's like to show, because you've shown both, what is the differences in showing a dairy goat to showing a meat wether?
Well, I mean, to show a boar, it's all about muscle, and dairy, it's all about, I mean, they don't necessarily want to see bones, but they want to see the underskin characteristics. They don't want to see that much muscle on them. They want to see enough to where they can carry their kids and they can take the weight of the milk and everything, but they really just want delicate, small framed kind of animals. Versus boar, they want big, muscular, big boned, which I mean, dairy, I think, is a lot more calm, is a lot more easy to show.
You're watching coverage of the Carroll County 4-H Swine Show. We are on the heavyweight class of commercial barrows or crossbred barrows, but I want to give you a recap here real quick. Berkshire Gilt Champion belonged to Lauren Weaver. Reserve went to Adriana Hernandez. Chester White Champion Gilt went to Ashley Bushman. Reserve went to Emily Wagner. Duroc Gilt Champion went to Tate Oler, and Danny Duff had the reserve champion. Hampshire Gilt Champion went to Andre Hernandez, and reserve champion went to Evan Johnston. Spot Gilt Champion went to Ethan Nelson. Reserve champion went to Lauren Bush. Yorkshire Gilt Champion went to Riley Lanham, and reserve went to Carson Lambert. AOB Gilt, what that is, it's called all other breeds, and I know there were some Herefords in there. What it amounts to is those are the breeds that do not have enough to make a class, and here at Carroll County you have to have at least 3 in that particular breed to have a class. So in the AOB Gilt category, Mackenzie Myers won champion and Aaron Scott won reserve champion. Now we've made it through 4 classes of crossbred lightweight gilts. There will be a champion picked out of the 4 classes there. Right now we are in the heavyweights. There were no middleweights, which I was really kind of surprised to see that they're either lightweight or heavyweight. There are no middleweights. Middleweights are going to be your ones that weigh roughly 245 up to about 255, somewhere around in there. Heavyweights usually weigh right around 260, 270. They could even go up higher than that, but that's what we're started. We've started the first class of heavyweights. There are 4 classes of heavyweight commercial gilts.
I think this gilt right here will be your first in this particular division. Again, fits some of the things that my emphasis point. She's heavy structured. Get behind her, she's squared. She's still got a natural top in her. She's not over extreme in any one area. Down just a touch in her pasterns, but she's still up there in her dew claw. Got a nice, for a crossbred, nice feminine look to her, and an underlying quality, a little more prominent in terms of her teat quality than the gilt we got in second. Young lady here, Still should be very proud of a nice crossbred gilt. Not as prominent as I stated in her underline. Probably a little longer neck. Gets a little tighter as you get behind her. A little more muscle shape, probably a little more terminal there, especially there when you get back into her lower seat of her ham area than the gilt we started at from a standpoint of a breeding class. But two nice crossbred gilts lined up there on the top end. Young man's black-headed gilt here. Like everything about this gilt, from you get behind her and on the side, just gets a little more smaller headed for me. Gets a little not as distinct up there through her front end. Gets a little more frail for me to keep her up there on the top end. Young man here has got a nice production-oriented kind of a gilt. We just need to change her there, the hock to the surface. We round out on down here in 5th, 6th, and 7th. Still got some nice gilts that the kids have done a really nice job. We got one gilt here in 6th. Her shoulders are pushed a little forward, straight fronted, a little more terminal. We just need to fix, again, some structural correctness in the conditions that these gilts would be in a breeding capacity. Thank you.
Placings class 31, 8th, Adam Humbarger, 7th, Justine Hurst, 6th, Henry Hurst, 5th, Catherine Roth, 4th, Zachary Walters, 3rd, Clayton Schaefer, 2nd, Emily Justice, and 1st place goes to Emily Humbarger. Let's go ahead and head this way with our heavyweight commercial gilts. Class 33, Emily Wagner, Macy McElrath, Blair Euler, Cooper Kinsler, Bryant Mays, Aaron Scott, and Adam Humbarger.
When this particular drive pieces maybe didn't quite fall, we got some pieces in here that'll work, but we're going to go ahead and start with the young lady's gilt here. Again, most flexible, very good design, everything kind of fits together. I'd like to see her heavier structured. She is as square as the gilts that when you get behind her in the top 3 here, in my opinion. The gilt here in 2nd, you do what you want to do with her. She's really extreme in her muscle. I think she's a little more towards the market kind of a gilt. I love her profile, I love her quality. She's just a little too terminal for me to use her up there on the top end. But congratulations again, a very nice gilt. Got nice structure, nice. This is the gilt that I would have used here on the top end. Probably put a little emphasis there pretty hard on this gilt behind. She really's got a bright hock there that bothers me quite a bit as this gilt, again, gets down the road in maturity. I view that as a problem, but this gilt could have won the class relatively easy if we could change that about her. She's the best, again, from her design and her neck. I just like to change that, again, from that behind, but nice job, nice gilt. Here's a gilt that first come out in the class. Hey, good bone, good foot size, good structure. She, again, just gets too narrow for me there up through her chest cavity and down into her knee. Young man's gilt coming out next. Good, flexible, good design, good athletic ability out here. She also just gets a little narrow as she comes at you, and the gilt's above her. As we come on and round out down the class, we got some terminal, little thicker skull gilt up here. Get a little plainer, a little more natural muscle in that gilt, and then we got some soundness that we need to correct. Congratulations.
Placings for class 32 commercial and lightweight gilts. 8th, Grady Welk. 7th, Anthony Valley. 6th, Mackenzie Anderson. 5th, Merrick Macaluso. 4th, Audrey Nelson. 3rd, Victoria Combs. 2nd, Morgan Viney. 1st place goes to Rebecca Lagoni. Need to be heading this way with class 34, Corinne Gahabe, Emma Wise, Chase Alminger, Chloe Wakefield, Caleb Kinsler, Evan Johnson, and Kristen Buck.
and then when we're done with that, then we'll come back and we'll do the champion lightweight, champion heavyweight, and then they will vie for the champion crossbred gilt overall. Once we get that done, then they will set up and get ready, prepare to bring all the breed champions back in, and we'll have our grand drive. The grand drive is the best of the best out of all the breeds, both barrow and gilt. That's where we're at right now. We want to thank our sponsors, as always, for letting us be here. Tri-Green Tractor, Parrots Meat Processing, Eikenberry Fine Furniture, Indiana Packers, and WLC in Sedalia. I want to also thank Brian Wimbrough, my right-hand man here, keeping track of all the classes for me. And as always, Russ Casper, who is working his tail off, doing all the technical stuff behind the scenes. He's been making sure the camera, all the sound, everything is perfect for us, and keeping me on track as well. So I want to thank him, as always, for helping out.
We're going to have a lot to archive. I just switched over from the A SD card to the B SD card. So we'll edit this down, but there ought to be a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, I think everybody will be surprised. It's pretty cool that you can get on Shine 99 TV or WILO TV and actually go through the archives and see all the things that we've done in the past. And also, the Swine Show today will be there as well. The Clayton County Fair was there as well. So it's kind of neat for everybody who, maybe the kids that are out here showing now, they don't get a chance to see themselves show because mom and dad are too busy helping get animals ready. Maybe a picture here or there, but they're actually going to be able to see themselves show and maybe pick up on some of the mistakes that maybe they're making.
We'll try to pick up a Carroll football game too. No promises. I think we're going to do Sheridan versus Carroll. If I'm not mistaken, that is going to be at Sheridan this year. So you might look toward that. We'll make an official announcement later.
Yeah, the television is so, to me, it is so important nowadays for broadcasting in general, because there's so much that you want to cover and you just don't have time to cover it. So being able to live stream everything and being able to archive it, it just makes it nice not only for us, but it also makes it nice for families as well. While we're waiting on the judge to make his final decisions here, we'll hold off for just a second and we're going to listen to the judge.
Let's give these a nice round of applause. We got two pair here. This might be one of the tougher decisions, really. They're very, very similar in their type, and we're just maybe looking at a few inches here and here. Here's how I see it. I'll go ahead and start with the young man right here in this particular drive. This one again, I thought there for a minute, maybe she wasn't quite as wide as the gilt, but she actually is. She got out here and she got it going a little bit for me. Thought her side profile, she's a little more fill, a little deeper in her rib cage if you study her there from the side fall in just this drive. Not saying she may be bigger, but she's got a little more fill. Underlying quality, she's better. This one here has got ever so slightly some, I think she's got maybe five, and there's a small one on one side, so I gave that in kick. She is heavier bone. She maybe's got a little more prominent to her head than the particular gilt. Very, very close call. Give them a nice round of applause. Really good kind of crossbred gilts. Young lady's gilt here coming out next is the biggest, ruggedest, stoutest, biggest bone one. Where I get critical of her right there at her ham-loin junction. Doesn't smooth out for me quite as well as the two gilts. Not as feminine in her overall look. Gets a little crustier out of her neck. She's more down in her pasterns than the two gilts we started the class with. Here's a very functional, sound, got a little knot there on her right hind leg, being critical of that. Not as long in her nature, not as pretty, or whatever you want to call femininity from the side profile, but still an exceptional gilt. Here's a gilt. Really like her freshness, done a nice job on hair coat. Just doesn't have enough center body or deepness to her rib cage or her heart good. She's just dry in her ribs than the gilts we had up on top. We round out the class, we just get into some structural correctness that we got to keep in these gilts as they get in the conditions we put them in. The young lady's gilt here is just a little earlier maturing, shorter profile, not big enough frame.
Placings, class 33. In 7th place, Emily Wagner. 3rd, Macy McElrath. Excuse me. 6th, Adam Humbarger. 5th, Blair Oilers. 4th, Cooper Kinsler. 3rd, Macy McElrath. 2nd, Aaron Scott. And 1st, Bryant May. Need to be heading this way with class 35, Wyatt Anderson, Megan Herr, Wyatt Carmack, Lauren Weaver, Lauren Spessard, and CJ Gahey.
Turn the camera, okay? We're here at the Carroll County Swine Show. You can watching it on the live stream right now. We're going to let our second runner-up get past us here real quick so she can go pass out ribbons. I'm here with a couple of young 4-H members here at Carroll County. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, tell me your name, first of all, tell me what year of 4-H you're in, and then tell me about your projects.
My name is Tanner Guinea. This is my 3rd year in 4-H, and I show cattle and waterfowl in Carroll County. Cattle, it's very, I like it, it's interesting. It's a fun experience for everybody, and I would encourage anybody to do it. Waterfowl and poultry is very simple, and I would encourage anybody to also do that. I enjoy 4-H a lot, and I'd encourage everybody to sign up and do anything in 4-H really, because it's all a fun experience for everybody.
Okay, you're showing cattle, and I know cattle usually weigh anywhere from 1,100 pounds to 1,200 pounds, sometimes even clear up to 1,500 pounds. Is that intimidating at all to you?
Not really. I'm used to being around cattle. When you get them tamed and broke for leading, it's not very intimidating at all once you get used to them. But I'm not really used to some of the older cattle, so I usually show pretty young cattle, and so my cattle aren't as big as others, but they're still big and can hurt you and everything. But I would encourage anybody to do it. Like I said, it's not very intimidating as you get used to it. So.
Okay, you said you show waterfowl. What type of waterfowl do you show?
I show ducks. They're fun, and
are yours domestic ducks, or are they wild, what I would call a wild duck, like a mallard or a wood duck?
Mine are domesticated. I show white pekin, Ruin, and Indian runners, and they are very interesting birds to show.
How do you show a duck?
Well, it's kind of, you just hold the bird, and the judge will look at it and talk to you about it. And at Carroll County, our judges are very friendly, so it's what I say, pretty easy and a fun experience, like everything else, really.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to talk to your buddy here real quick, okay? All right. You are, I want you to tell us your name, okay? And then I want you to tell me about your rabbits. You had a pretty good fair from what I hear.
Yeah. Okay, my name is Hunter Guinea, and I show rabbits, and this is my 4th year in 4-H, and this year I showed a meat pen, and I got grand champion for those, and then for my Siamese rabbits I got 1st place, and I do showmanship, and that's a good learning experience, and just I'd recommend people to do it because it gives you a good social interaction, like talking in front of a judge, and it's a very fun procedure, like flipping the rabbit over and all that good stuff.
Okay, now there was another project that you were telling about that I have never heard about, and that is RC truck pulls. That's not something that we have in Clinton County, so why don't you tell us about that?
Okay, so basically what an RC truck pull is you can either purchase a truck or scratch build one or use one from a past member that was in it. And so this year when I was in it, me and my dad helped me build a hitch and put weights on it to pull it. And so you start out with like 2.5 pounds, and then there's different classes, like 1/10 scale electric and gas ones. Then there's the 1/5 scale gas, and so we stayed for the whole show, and I got 4th place out of 8.
Well, that's cool. I'm going to let you go because I know you got other things to get done, but I appreciate you coming and talking to us, and thank you, and have a great time with the fair that's left.
Thank you.
All kinds of great projects going on here at the fair, as you can tell. Radio-controlled truck pulls. We're going to listen to the judge now, so I'm going to get off here.
Nice round of applause. You know, when you got gilts that really stay this down for this long of a drive, I mean, you need to be commended. And I do that for a reason, but I know a lot of them, we put them right in. But I think we found one here at the top that stayed sound and really longer neck, long from the side, really hit me hard when we come in. We're going to go ahead and use this particular gilt right here. Congratulations to her. Again, following my type that we talked about, I like them natural in their makeup. She's really good up on her top line. She's carrying enough muscle shape and condition. You get behind her, she doesn't disappoint you. She's square, she's got enough bone, she's up in her pastern, she's got a good look from the side. Certainly appreciate that. Young man coming in a really top 3 or 4 tough class. This one's got some more shape to her up on top. I just viewed her as a little coarser. You get behind her, she's just a little shorter in her hip. Maybe doesn't have that distinctive femininity that I'm looking for, but one really nice crossbred gilt still that you should be proud of, that certainly can win the class pretty easily. No doubt about that. That's the one I chose for my particular reason. Here's one, again, carrying a little more cover. Nothing wrong with that. She's got a great big rib cage in her. She's really soft in her ribs. She looks like going to be a great sow that can lay down and have some pigs. She just run out a little bit of gas in terms of some structure and ideal muscle shape that I call in terms of this crossbred drive. There's another one. Young man's got a little blood warrant on the side, no problem with that. Where I faulted her, you get behind her again. I'd like to see her come out a little more flexible there out of her back end. There's one that needs to be a little taller, point of the shoulder. Resembles the 3rd place gilt we had come out from a rib shape. Again, good underlying quality, good vulva. Just need to make her taller, pointed shoulder. Young lady here's got still practical, sound, functional female. Just got to change her how she hinds the legs. This one here, we just got to correct her. She's a little more terminal, a little more market oriented for this drive.
Places class 34, 7th, Chloe Wakefield, 6th, Corinne Gahave, 5th, Emma Wise, 4th, Chase Alminger, 3rd, Evan Johnson, 2nd, Caleb Kinsler, and 1st place goes to Kristen Buck. Go ahead and get class 36, class 4 of heavyweights, Grace O'Neill, Cameron Gahave, Fred Rodkey, Griffin Viney, Madison Wagner, Danielle Copen, Aaron Scott, and Megan Wagner.
Give these again another nice round of applause. Got a nice set up here on the top end. We're going to start with the heaviest structured one right here, the young man 003 in this particular drive. Big-footed, good toes. I thought there when I evaluated, I really studied that hip structure, but very, very similar to the other gilt here, and certainly when you get behind her, still square, big cannon bone laid in this gilt here. Really love her side profile. Deeper, a little more filled, deeper kind of a rib inner than the gilt in second. Again, bigger heart girth to her. Vulva size excellent. I think a nice fit. Again, tail head up there. Really appreciate that for this gilt on that class. Here's another gilt. Again, resembles a lot of gilts we've talked about there on the top end. Not as heavy bone, not as big a structure. Probably just maybe a tick longer neck. Doesn't come at you quite as wide when you get out here in the surface there at the knee, just ever so slightly. And I studied her, about the same kind of hip structure laying in both those gilts, but two nice gilts, again, they should be proud of. That's how I seen it. Gilt coming out next. Great rib, again, great body mass down through her rib cage. A little more cover if you study her up there. What's ideal up there around her blade. Probably like to pull that off of her just a hair. But again, this one still can make some nice brood sound. Good femininity characteristic. That's why she's up here. Here's one again. She's got probably maybe the most shape you get up there in terms of the center of her loin. You get behind her. Still really square. Good vulva size. Probably read her maybe just a little more terminal than the gilts we had above. Here is the most terminal, more market-oriented gilt. Again, we'd have a market gilt show. She'd raise right up the top. She's just a little more terminal as far as some of the femininity characteristics that you look for. Here's a nice, very, again, practical, functional kind of gilt. Like to see her vulva size bigger in this drive.
Placing is class 35. 6th, C.J. Gahave. 5th, Lauren Weaver. 4th, Megan Herr. 3rd, Wyatt Anderson. 2nd, Lawrence Spessard. And 1st, Wyatt Carmack. After we finish the class 36 commercial gilts, we will then select our champion reserves for lightweight, heavyweight, and then our champion reserve commercial gilts before we show the homeborn and raised. Don't forget 4-Hers, get up here and tell the ladies what you're going to do with your pig, auction, market, or home. They have to know before the show is over. Okay, we need to bring the lightweight commercial gilts up here. They want to bring the number ones up first, if we can pull that off, and park the second place gilts behind them. So I need Grace Filburn, 4-1, Owen Crowell, 2-5, Emily Humbarger, 9-6, and Rebecca Lagoni, 3-9. Then to follow that up, we need to bring up Ren Isom, John Beal, Emily Justice, and Morgan Viney.
On this particular drive, we're going to start off with the young lady's gilt here in this drive. You know, this gilt, she's got a lot on her. I'll tell you, she's got a lot on her, but you take still some of that off, she'd still be, you know, very good. Does she have too much on her? But here's how I seen this gilt. She comes at you, very extremely wide, certainly appreciate it. She is a little longer neck. She does get a little square as she goes behind you. Great big rib cage in her. Certainly you like to freshen this gilt up in this drive, but she's got quite a bit on her, but she meets the qualities of some of the things I'm looking for, squareness and coming and going at you. Here's a real heavy bone, youthful one. Read that, good bone. Like to change her maybe ever so slightly. You get behind her. She wants to just not square up quite as well, but still being very, very picky of an exceptional crossbred gilt. Two excellent pairs. Switch them around either way. Certainly wouldn't have a problem. That's how I read it in this drive. The gilt here in third. Another extremely wide-chested gilt coming at you. She does get a little more soft-footed than the two gilts we had. Not as, again, heavy in her structure, just a little shorter again. We talked about some other classes that come out of her hip. Good job to this young man. Gilt here and coming out next, the belted gilt. Good kind of length of head and face to this gilt. We need to change her here a little bit. Gets a little coarse in one spot of her underline, but a really still functional kind of a gilt. Congratulations to her. We round out the particular class. Got a nice set of gilts, just need to fix them there on some structural correctness.
Placings for the Class 36 Commercial Heavyweight Gilts. 8, Daniel Copen. 7, Cameron Gabe. 6th, Grace O'Neill. 5th, Griffin Viney. 4th, Madison Wagner. 3rd, Fred Rodkey. 2nd, Aaron Scott. And 1st, Megan Wagner. Getting ready now to select the lightweight champion, lightweight crossbred champion.
Let's give these a round of applause for your lightweight crossbred gilt division. Good job by all these exhibitors. I guess if I sort through these, there's one just I remembered in particular class from a structure standpoint. Maybe not pretty, maybe not all clipped up out here, but I think the best breeding potential will be this gilt right here. She'll be your champion lightweight. Congratulations. We bring in that second place gilt. Really, again, like her design and her length of side. Certainly appreciate that. I think the one that most suits me best for reserve champion and it follows our pair, young lady's gilt right over here. She'll be reserved. Congratulations to her.
Your lightweight champion crossbred gilt went to Emily Humbarger and reserved to Rebecca Lagoni.
Well, again, never gets old. Give them a nice round of applause. Nice set of crossbred gilts here and all day long, and all the families and the kids. I know they put a lot of hard work in this, and really appreciate that. We'll just talk about each one of them. We'll start with the big gilt, the one there towards the heavier class. Really, amount of mass and volume, and keep that square, that's hard to do. Is she probably a little overdone for me? Yes, but I really still appreciate the length of neck and length of side, and with that kind of mass, she still handles it reasonably well. And we have the other gilt over here and the younger gilt. If you can make them all the side profile like that one, she's not as stout in her bone, but for her age, she's still really good. I think this makes practicality, functionality females. You can't go wrong raising them like that. Still a very attractive gilt. I think it comes down to these two gilts here, and it's a matter of preference. I'll tell you what I see. The gilt says heaviest bone, biggest footed one is this one. The gilt's probably got a little more now stoutness and rugged, it's this one. Underlying quality is typically both very functional and good. Maybe like to clean this ever so slightly up there around the neck region for me. But when you get behind them with that much bone and mass, she still handles it square. She's got a good rib cage, good functionality and all that. Here's one that she called just pretty. She gets out here and she probably comes at you a little prettier up to her neck. She's not as stout in her bone. She's not as stout in her footwork. Not as probably you get behind her. Probably not ever so slightly, maybe not as square specifically there off her right hind leg. That's how I seen it. The one I'm going to use will be the gilt right here. She'll be your champion. We're bringing in this second place gilt, and that was a really, really deep class, and certainly appreciate that. Gilt has nothing to be ashamed at all. Maybe again, ever so slightly, you want to study where that shoulder's laid into her, as far as maybe push just a hair forward. But boy, I'm getting really, really picky of one that's still really good. I got to come back to the one over here. She'll be my reserve champion. Congratulations to her.
Your champion heavyweight crossbred gilt, Wyatt Carmack, reserve, Kristen Buck. Now selected champion overall.
We get out here for your champion breeding crossbred gilt. As I talked throughout the day, keeping structure and good foot size and have some durability and have a good blade working them, not having too much over condition, not outside themselves, looking at vulva quality, looking at underlying quality, and you know, this is the crossbred breed, so we got to keep, you know, some more muscle shape than, not heavy muscle, but enough muscle shape that we still can keep some good crossbred bearers and functionality. But I think the one, again, that suits me the best will be this gilt right here as your champion crossbred.
Champion crossbred goes to Wyatt Carmack.
Bring in the reserve, and certainly we've talked about her. I mean, boy, when you get one to come out of the pen like that and has that kind of look and side profile, she was a little heavier structured for me. And if you studied it again, where she plants those feet compared to the champion off of her hind leg, that was the difference I saw. But one still really good crossbred gilt she needs to be proud of. She'll be your reserve.
Reserve crossbred champion reserve Kristen Buck. Now ready for the homeborn and raised gilts: Audrey Nelson, Marley Cleaver, Katie Kleckner, and Wyatt Carmack. Give everybody, parents and 4-Hers, a head up. Pleased to announce the Carroll County Swine Show that's being broadcast live at this time worldwide on www.shine99tv.com. They're going to archive this, and in a couple days, 4-Hers, you'll be able to go back and watch yourself show and have a lot of fun with that.
Well, as I stated there in the Barrett Drive, and I want to state it again, there may be some new people in here, but it's absolutely positive as heck that these kids come out here and they'll raise their own litter. You know, we want to continue to, even if it's 1 year, 2 years, please do it. There's absolutely nothing wrong taking home and learning the farrowing spirit, learning about production, learning about what's real important, and you can gain value these kids in the whole aspects of the swine industry. So let's give them a big round of applause. They went to an extra level, and we really appreciate that about these kids and the family. I just went up and asked them about hey, how was the litter? How did the sow do? The ease of farrowing? How did the gilt do? They all had really good answers, and certainly to gain that experience, and really appreciate that. I think there's one that suits me the best in terms of practicality, functionality. The Yorkshire appearing female right here, she'll be your champion. The Duroc gilt will be the reserve.
First place for homeborn and raised, Katie Kleckner. Second, Wyatt Carmack.
We're here at the Carroll County 4-H Swine Show here in Florida, Indiana. The gilt show has just finished up with the regular classes. I'm going to do a quick recap while they get the champion and reserve breed champions and reserves up here to go for the Grand Drive gilt. Berkshire gilt belonged to, the champion was Lauren Weaver, reserve was Adriana Hernandez, Chester White champion Ashley Bushman, reserve Emily Wagner, Duroc gilt champion Tate Euler, reserve Danny Duff, Hampshire gilt champion Andre Hernandez, reserve was Evan Johnson, Spot gilt champion Ethan Nelson, reserve was Lauren Bush, Yorkshire gilt champion Riley Lanham, reserve Kaysen Lambert. All other breed gilt champion was Mackenzie Myers, reserve was Aaron Scott. Cross lightweight champion was Emily Humbarger, reserve was Rebecca Lagodi. Cross heavyweight. Cross heavyweight champion was Wyatt Carmack, and Kristen Burke was the reserve. Champion overall crossbred went to Wyatt Carmack, and reserve went to Kristen Buck. Born and raised at home, Katie Kleckner was first and Wyatt Carmack was second. We are getting ready for the Grand Champion Drive. They are actually waiting on just a couple of the reserves to get up here for their respective breeds. And while we're waiting on that, I want to thank our sponsors for always letting us do this. They're fantastic 4-H sponsors and youth sponsors in general. WLC and Sedalia, Eikenberry Fine Furniture, Parrots Meat Processing, Tri-Green Tractor, and Indiana Packers. As we see the reserve champions that we're missing that work their way up to the ring, we just want to remind everybody that 4-H is a life skills project, just 4-H in general. It doesn't have to be swine. It could be foods in the barn. It could be crafts. The kids learn leadership skills. They learn life skills as well. The swine show, once we get the grand drive for the gilts over with, then we'll have the grand drive for the market barrows as well. And then after that, it's showmanship. Showmanship is where the kids show off their skills. And the best showman is what we call an invisible showman. That's the showman that you don't see. All you see is their animal that they're showing, and that's the point. They're out there to show their animal. We're going to listen to the show.
Champion Jesse White, Sydney Bordner. Champion Duroc, Tate Euler. Champion Hampshire, Andre Hernandez. Spot Gilt, Ethan Nelson. Yorkshire Gilt, Kason Lambert. AOB Gilt, Aaron Scott. Champion Commercial Gilt, Wyatt Carmack. Home born and raised, Katie Kleckner.
First of all, out here in your Grand Champion Breeding Guild, I'd just like to make a few comments. And I think, as I stated early on, and I know we got to get to the barrows, you know, you got tremendous heritage and culture in this county. In my career and some other things in the nutrition business, I always enjoyed coming over here because you got great families, been in agriculture for years. You got great farm ground. We're so blessed to have a tremendous crop. You got so many other things going on in this county within the hog industry. You know, Carroll County's always been looked up to for a lot of number of years, and I think it all surrounds these youth right here of what their potential is coming down, whether it's going into a bigger facet in the swine industry or any kind of leadership activity. I just want to point that out, and it's an honor to come and do your fair. So give these kids and the family and everybody that showed gilts a big round of applause. Really enjoyed it. I hope you could follow what I was trying to do. You know, when we judge breed, it is a breeding gilt show. We got to try to keep them as natural as possible. We got to keep some bone and structure for durability for the conditions that we would put a breeding female or a potential gilt that's in a farrow crate under. We got to keep balance. We got to keep appropriate length. We got to keep appropriate length of hip to hock. It's so important. when we're farrowing sows today, and I think that's a point we need to continue to go across. So I'm really pleased after I get back out here with what we got left. I think there's 3 in contention, taking nothing away. We've got, we'll talk about each of the 3. We got the crossbred, stoutness, bone, foot. You get up on top of this one, still got enough cover for me. It's got a great hip and hind leg in it. Very good kind of a gilt. You got the Duroc gilt. If you study this one, really coming at you, tremendous amount of neck. She's very natural in her look. You know, ever so slightly, she might want to get just, if I see it, just a tight, you know, tight there coming out of her hip to her hind leg. Vulva quality is good, underline. She's got a good rib cage. The Yorkshire gilt, we talked about her. One with tremendous side profile. Get behind her, again, ever so slightly. She wants a maybe hind leg placement there on her right hind leg. Comes in just a hair, picking on one just when we get her back out here in the champion. Again, very exceptional. Taking nothing away from any of the other gilts. I guess the one for me, I'll go out and shake the hand, combines all those things together. I gave them all a hard look. I'll go out and select your 2016 Grand Champion gilt.
Grand Champion gilt, Wyatt Carmack.
We bring the reserve crossbred. We talked about one that's got a great look, great neck to her. I'd like to see her plant just a little bit better there out of her right when you get behind her to compete with that champion. But I got to come back. We've had one that's drove a long time out here and certainly is going to get a little tighter. But I really did like this Duroc gilt. She's going to be your reserve champion. Congratulations to him.
Reserve champion gilt goes to Tate Euler. We're going to get some pictures here, folks, but we need... Oh, we got to do top 5. I'm sorry.
I'll go out and select in the order 3rd through 5th from here on out on your breeding gilt. Congratulations again to all these exhibitors.
quickly here while they are getting the gilts moved out and getting some pictures, of course. We've got to get those grand dry pictures. Our grand champion gilt for the 2016 Carroll County 4-H Swine Show belongs to Wyatt Carmack with his crossbred gilt. Tate Euler is your reserve champion with his Duroc gilt. Kristen Buck comes back with 3rd place. She had the reserve crossbred gilt. Danny Duff was in 4th. She had the reserve Duroc gilt. And then 5th place came in with Kaysen Lambert with his Yorkshire gilt.
Tate Euler was reserve champion. 3rd was Kristen Buck. 4th was Danny Duff. And 5th was Kaysen Lambert.
Right now they're going to make the transition over, and they'll be bringing up the champion barrows in every breed, and we will have our grand champion drive for the barrows.
Sydney Gordner, Hampshire, Blake Mears, Spots, Lauren Bush, Yorkshires, Madeline Sheets, all other breeds, AOBs, Chase Alminger, Grand Champion Cross with Madeline Sheets, Homeborn and raised, Clayton Schaefer. All those first place champions of those breeds. Now, to follow that up, the reserves, we need for the Berkshire class, Lauren Spesser, Chester White, Shania Bordner, Durocs, Morgan Viney, Camps, Reese Alba, Spots, Zoe Myers, York, Keegan Sheets, all other breeds, Savannah Bordner, and Riley Lamb for Cross. Homeborn and raised is Ethan Nelson. Be heading that way, folks.
They've got all the champion and the reserve champions heading towards the ring with the barrow show. Right now we're getting some pictures. Champion and reserves are getting their pictures. Then we'll have the top 5 get their picture. And if you wonder how those how they're managing to keep their animal in one spot so that they can take all those pictures, it's because you can't see it, but there's a little bit of a food pan down there, and they have earned their chance to eat and drink a little bit, so they're keeping them happy that way, and honestly you can't blame them. As hot as it is for the animals to keep their cool, as well as their owners to do so, has been pretty remarkable, because it is sweltering out. Even with all the fans, it's still extremely humid and extremely hot here in the barn. And which, if you could see Russ right now, you'd know exactly what I'm talking about. The poor guy, he's probably lost 5 gallons of water just sweating here today.
That's after the 3 I've drained.
He said that's after the 3 drained. So little TMI there, bub. Too much information, but no, honestly, we've been chugging water like crazy up here, just trying to stay hydrated. We hope that they're doing the same with the kids. And the same with spectators as well. I mean, it's not just the spectators are getting hot too, but these kids, if you pay attention to what these kids wear, they don't get to go out there in shorts and tank tops and show their animals. They are in full show gear, which is boots, jeans, and you'll see that a lot of the kids will actually show in long sleeve shirts. They may have them rolled up, but a lot of them will show in long sleeve shirts because they want to look as professional as possible. They're checking off the list right now, getting all these kids checked in with their breed champions and reserves. Brian, what do you think of the show so far? You said it's been a long time since you've been to a Carroll County hog show, so how do you think it's been going?
Very smooth considering the heat. Once again, hogs do not have no sweat glands, so you've got to keep a lot of water to them. I think it's went very smoothly. The judge, he's moved right along. I haven't seen any problems here whatsoever. Like I say, it's been it's been 30 years since I've been into 4-H, and it's been about 25 years since I've been on this fairgrounds, because we used to come up here to the open carcass show, bring hogs from the farm where I was born and raised at, and it's been a while since I've been associated with this, and I think it's going very well. I've learned a lot of things as time has slipped me by a lot on the way they judge them, and like I say, I could make a correction to what I said earlier on the heavyweight. Heavyweight, I've learned from Melissa's up to 250 to 270 now. Where back when we was raising hogs back 22 years ago, when we quit raising hogs on the farm, anything over 200 pound went to the market. So time has really slipped me by in the last 22 years. So, and let alone 30. So I think it's going real smooth.
Yeah, I think the judge has been very consistent in his picking. I do like the fact that he makes it all about the kids, and that's great. He wants them to learn from the project. What little criticism there is very constructive criticism, and he points out what he is looking for in the industry, and he also makes sure everybody understands it's just his opinion, that he's not the spokesman for the entire pork producing industry, that it is his opinion on this day, and he picks them the way he sees them. And that's a great attitude to have, and the fact that he's here for the kids. I've been very impressed with this judge. In fact, I'm kind of hoping maybe if they don't have him back again next year, that maybe we can get him in Clinton County, because not to say that we haven't had good judges. We have had good judges, but I think this year this next year is ready for a rotation, because we do ours in a 2-year rotation. I know Carroll County does theirs in a rotation as well. So, but I think he's done an excellent job while he's here, and I wouldn't mind seeing him down in Clinton County too as well.
I would recommend him. You know, I think he's done very, very good here. He's very consistent, and I think a good judge is when he will go pick like a class when his decision is final the first time, especially as hot as it is, instead of bringing them back out and trying to place them again, and it just gets the pigs, let alone the kids that's showing them, it starts to get a little lengthy, and I think he's been very consistent and efficient.
Yeah, I agree. We are getting ready to start the show. They're checking in the last couple of reserves that are coming up now. So we are, I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to let you listen to the announcer as they bring the kids out and announce the breed that they were champions of, and we'll get this grand drive for the barrow on the way.
Okay, Berkshire barrow, Riley Lanham. Let's give these guys and gals a round of applause, folks. They've worked hard all day. Chester White, Wyatt Anderson. Duroc, Sidney Bordner. Hampshire, Blake Mears. Spot barrel, Lauren Bush. Yorkshire, Madeline Sheese. AOV, Chase Alminger. Cross barrel, Madeline Sheese. Where's our? Homeborn and raised, Clayton Schaefer.
Well, again, I want to say thank you again to Carroll County, and let's give these exhibitors your grand champion bear a great, nice set of bears, and really it's an honor to be able to come in here and judge your youth. I think there's about 4 in contention here. I'll just talk about a few, and we'll go out and we'll select. You know, your Chester bear over here, I gave him a look. Big, stout, heavy bone. You know, maybe where I change him a little bit when you come at me, just down fronted, he's not as long in his front bone work. But boy, there's a good Chester bear. You change that about him, I think he's right in the hunt now, but he's a good one. You got your Yorkshire bear. Love you. Comes at you extremely wide, maybe a down a little bit in these pasterns. Yorkshire's got a problem with that. I'm not going to hold it too much. You get behind him. Hind leg placement, like to open him up just a hair. But boy, great profile, great forearm. Just a great kind of looking Yorkshire bear you should be extremely proud of. The Duroc bear. You know, he's right up here at 280, you know, and you got to say, okay, where's he at for today? Where's he at in terms of his being 12 o'clock? But boy, he's really still held together. He's square behind. He's square coming at you. Still rugged in his makeup. Really wide as you get up on top of him. Probably got the best look from the side as anything in this particular drive. You got the crossbred. Really up-headed. You don't have to do much of this guy. Bone structure compared to some of the other hogs, average. You get behind him, maybe you want to change him just a touch. Great fronted, probably one of the best great fronted hogs in this. Really appreciate he's useful. So I'll go out and select the one that I think today fits some things that I'm talking about for your grand champion bear here at your Carroll County Fair.
Grand champion barrow, Sydney Bordner.
We bring out that reserve bear, and certainly again, as we talked to him, the gilt, he doesn't disappoint you at all in terms of coming in here and being able to compete. I think out here for reserve, I'm going to come back with your crossbred here. Still a very exceptional bear in his own right. Congratulations to her. I will go out and select 3rd through 5th in the order.
Reserve champion barrow, Madeline Sheep. Again, grand champion barrow with Sydney Bordner. Reserve, Madeline Sheese. 3rd, Madeline Sheese. 4th, Wyatt Anderson. And 5th, Riley Lanham. Don't forget tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, right here in the show arena. They're going to do a judging competition. See Mr. Taylor Plank. If you haven't already, give him a heads up that you're going to be here. Don't forget you have to get up here to the stage and let these ladies know what you're doing with your pig. Market, auction, or home before the end of the show. They're going to get some pictures here, and then we're going to start with senior showmanship. Juniors and intermediates, first timers, get yourself out here and watch these senior shows so you can get some ideas and good techniques.
We are going to wrap it up here shortly. Want to go over the grand drive for the Barrow Show here at the Carroll County 4-H Swine Show. As they get pictures out there, like I said, the way they get them to hold still like that is to throw a feed pan in front of them. And I think Sydney Bordner's Duroc is very, very happy to have that feed pan right in front of his face.
First round of seniors are going to be shown.
Sydney Bordner was your grand champion Barrow. Madeline Sheese was your reserve champion with her crossbred, and then Madeline Sheese also came back with the third place Barrow with her Yorkshire. Wyatt Anderson was your fourth place grand with his Chester. And Riley Lanham was your fifth place with her Berkshire. It's been a great show. I think the judge did a very good job with everything. He did consistently picked. It was, to me, it was probably one of the best, I want to say one of the best hog shows I've seen all year. Very well judged, very consistent in his judging. The fact that he also enjoyed talking with the kids, researching what they had done with their projects. To me, that makes him a great judge as well. He's going to take a quick breather here while they're finishing up pictures, and then they'll start in with showmanship, and that's a whole nother idea. So the kids they'll be judged on their performance, but he also, in the back of his mind, he remembers these kids when they come out for showman, so he knows how they've showed all day long. He knows whether or not they have turned it up, per se, throughout the show, and that's what he's going to be looking for. We want to thank our sponsors for letting us be here, of course, WLC and Sedalia, Eikenberry Fine Furniture, Parrott's Meat Processing, Tri-Green Tractor, and Indiana Packers. They allow us to be here to cover the Swine Show, not only on the radio, but also on Shine 99 TV and WILO TV. If you're watching right now on the live stream, or even if you're not, I mean, later on you're going to be able to pick this up on the archives and watch it again, which for the 4-H'ers who are out there showing today, they don't get the opportunity to do this. So they're going to be able to go back on in the next couple of days, and they'll be able to actually watch themselves show. And that's actually a good tool for kids, especially when they're just starting out. So make sure that you catch the archive of the show along with the other programs that we have done in the past. There's several there in the archives. I want to thank Brian Wimbrow for all of his help. He's watched the show with me. He's kept me on track of all the class winners and kept me with all the champions. Brian, any last words as far as words of wisdom or whatever with the Swine Show and how you think it went?
Well, like I said before, I think with the heat and everything, I think it went very well. And I want to tell you, good job, Melissa and Russ. And I think a job well done here today.
Well, thank you. And Russ, we want to give him a big shout out. He's worked hard. Poor guy, he's probably lost half his body weight just sweating, just running back and forth, let alone the heat being part of the factor too.
I wonder if they have a class for, folks that work here at the fair, all the volunteers, they put them through the paces, see how they look to the judge. The worse the better. It's kind of like going to Philmont Scout Camp for 10 days. By the time you're done, you're pretty much a whoop puppy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Now, I know Carroll County doesn't have it, but Clinton County does have the what we call old-timer shows, where they actually bring in past 4-H'ers, and they show as well. And the fun part of it is it's $5 to show. You have to donate $5 to be able to show, but it's $20 to get out of it if you don't want to.
That is funny.
And then that money is put towards things, towards the barns and other things that are needed there with the 4-H program. So it's pretty cool, and all the species do it, so it's kind of neat.
Well, tell your friends, those that are watching, we are going to have this up for the archive. It'll be the edited version. It won't be all 6 or 7 hours, but we're going to scope it down the best we can, keeping the salient points the best we can. So bear with us, and we'll get it up as soon as practical. I can't promise when, but it'll be at shine99tv.com or wilotv.com, again made possible by the sponsors that you've heard all day today.
Yep, WLC in Sedalia, Eikenberry Fine Furniture, Parrots Meat Processing, Tri-Green Tractor, and Indiana Packers. We want to thank them so much for allowing us to be out here and to bring the great 4-H program of Carroll County 4-H. From the Carroll County 4-H Swine Show and Casper Media, I'm Melissa Miller.
They would like you to put a big age on